everyone at Crypto Traders Group. Mark Zuckerberg has declared war on cryptocurrency, and seemingly our live stream has been low quality. We're not really sure what the problem is. We checked everybody's internet connections. Everybody's internet looks pretty fantastic, actually. So we're not quite sure what the problem is, but we're trying to work on it. Let us know what happened. We ended the last feed. We deleted the last video, so don't worry. The problem was not on your end, but it seems like the problem may have been on Facebook's end, or maybe it's some of our software. But we did the hard reboot. How are we looking now, everybody? Are we better? Are we still lagging? Can you hear us? Can you see us? What do we got? Give us some feedback, everybody. Let me know.
Good now.
Good
Hearing
now.
it's good now.
We're getting positivity, everybody.
Sweet.
So
Okay. Well,
anyhow, so we're here to talk about the bear market we've been in for about 8, maybe 9 weeks now, really starting since the first week of January. We've seen a couple of upticks in the market in general, but we've been primarily in a bearish channel, and there's been shorting opportunities. What we want to talk about today are the 3 strategies for surviving downward markets. As the markets go down, we have a few options. We can learn to short, profit from shorts. We can pull out entirely, or we can treat ourselves entirely as long-term investors. So we're going to go over the major coins. We're going to talk about the major news. We're going to talk about the reasons why the market has been doing a big dip, whether or not we think it's a healthy dip or if it's based on all kinds of other stuff. And we're going to keep it super, super technical. We're going to talk from a position of foundational understanding of cryptocurrency, how to survive this, how to thrive in this kind of market, and we'll take it from there. So Matt was in the middle of talking about some of the charts, but I'm guessing some of you were not able to see what was going on the chart. So I'm going to pass back to Matt. Matt can talk about the majors, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., and we'll move on from there. Feel free, start leaving questions here. We'd love to take your questions live and start talking about the things that matter to you. So Matthew, what do we got?
So first we're gonna go over Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is pretty much controlling the entire market. When Bitcoin moves up or down, the entire market is kind of following it to some degree. It might not be as extreme, but generally these coins are tied to Bitcoin, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I wish the market wasn't like that because it would give us more opportunities, but right now everything seems to be following Bitcoin very closely, and Bitcoin has a lot of stuff going on with it right now. We have this Mt. Gox trustee that has been just dumping shares on the market ever since late December, early January, I believe so, and he's not even dumping them like intelligently. It's just market orders pouring into the market. So if somebody dumps a market order of 50,000 Bitcoin, it's going to fill that entire order. So it's just going to go down the list, clearing out buys until that order fills. And that's where we get these huge washouts. And then buyers come back into the market, we get the bounce. But he's just been dumping and dumping and dumping, and we don't know when that's going to stop. So I don't think Bitcoin is necessarily getting is going to go down forever, but this guy is really is laying the pipe on the market, and it's not just that. There's so many other things that could be affecting the market. We have major exchanges like Bittrex and Binance. They're having issues. There's almost no volume in the overall altcoin market. Pretty much no one's trading on Bittrex, it seems. And Binance, a lot of people have moved over to Binance, but when Binance is having FUD spread through it because of a trading bot hack, well, that's going to cause a lot of people to not want to go to Binance, or less people to trade on there. And if Binance goes down, well, there's coins that are only on Binance. And if people aren't able to buy or sell those coins, there's no volume, well, the price is going to go down. People are just going to be trying to get out. We have a lot of centralized institutions and big money coming into the market, and they're kind of whipping us around, where they're shaking the little guys out, and they're just trying to get as much Bitcoin as possible. And all these other coins as well. They could really manipulate the market.
Yep.
I also think a major problem that is a lot of people are having is it's really hard to get in and out of fiat unless, like, if I wanted to cash out, I would have to go through Coinbase to do it fast and legit, but that's not so easy. It's not easy to get money out of the market if you're trying to pull large amounts out. So once you're in crypto, well, everybody's trying to fight for the exit, and there's not that many exits. There's only a couple options, and that's going into Tether to avoid this volatility, or completely getting out of crypto. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to completely get out of crypto, but they're bleeding right now, and a lot of people are upset, depressed, angry, because most of the people joined us in November and December. That's when we got the largest wave of people, and those are the people that are affected the most right now.
Yeah. And we actually talked about the kind of safe havens in the coin of the week. Kurt and Matt actually did that in the coin of the week. That's posted up on our YouTube channel as far as hanging out or hiding in USDT, and also another one called TrueCoin. So you guys can check that out and see. It's supposed to be pegged to the dollar, just like USDT, and could potentially be a safer option with all the FUD surrounding Tether. It's another option for you guys. So what do you guys think about also like the futures and stuff? You know, once those started to hit around November or December, that's when things really started to get a little rocky and crazy, and brought more uncertainty into the market, I guess I should say.
Right. That's the problem. You let Chicago businessmen into any market, and all of a sudden stuff starts swinging in favor of the Chicago businessmen. Anybody that's been in this market, the market has been 90+% long traders, people that just go in, buy. They're simple retail investors.
Yeah.
People that essentially want to buy Bitcoin, maybe for philosophical reasons, maybe for whatever. They just see it as a potential get rich quick or get rich quicker scheme.
Yeah.
But then CBOE and CME Group are two very, very, very big trading floors, and these guys come in. These are professional, high volume traders. They trade everything. Like the CME Group is a massive, actually really impressive piece of real estate. The people going in and out of there are high end, serious traders, and they are, whatever, man. They'll go long, they'll go short 50 times a day. They'll do it 50 times an hour if that's what the chart tells them to do. And trading futures, trading paper Bitcoin was something that nobody knew what to expect from. We have, there was no experience on any of this. Nobody knew what to expect. Well, we've seen a massive amount of downward volatility, and it's hard to say whether they were the cause of it, because we have had a lot of things. Naturally, Mount Gox is like it's like the venereal disease that keeps kind of cropping up every couple of years to remind you of that one dumb thing you did in college, right? And Mount Gox crashed the market in 2014. It was terrifying. Bitcoin went from like $1,100 down to like $100. And then, Mount Gox is gone. Well, 2018, the market is, basically finally back up. It's back on the track that Bitcoin was supposed to be on. And, well, Mount Gox comes back again, crashes all back down to hell. So I can't wait until nobody ever brings Mount Gox up again. But we are still still in one of those situations where Mount Gox is rearing its ugly head, which is ridiculous, because Mount Gox was basically an exchange created by accident. Mount Gox is an acronym. Do you guys know this? Do you know what the name Mount Gox comes from?
No.
Magic Gathering Online Exchange?
Yes, it is Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. It was a group that was put together to exchange coins that would be used, or weapons, or whatever you wanted to exchange from the Magic the Gathering game. And then Bitcoin came around, and they decided to use Bitcoin as a means of exchange for doing that. And they became the largest exchange up until 2014, when they crashed because they were terrible. Basically, they had no idea what they were doing, and they just keep rearing their ugly head. But these futures contracts, I'm not sure Not sure what they mean long term. I think it's interesting. The institutional money obviously wants to be in Bitcoin. They want to be in cryptocurrency in general. CBOE Group has said time and again they want to start trading Ethereum. They want to start trading Bitcoin Cash and Ripple, I believe, are the things that are on their roadmap over there. And we'll see what's going to happen. With this whole thing is a brave new world, and we're in it together. So,
and that's, I guess
that's
one of the good things that keeps us bullish too, to think about is, this week Coinbase says they're going to open an index fund here in the very near future. You've got, a lot of big institutions coming into play with big money. So we're not going to go to zero, but crypto's not going to be worthless if you have a lot of these, or attracting the attention of a lot of these big players. There's different rumors about PayPal using, Dogecoin. I heard something today about them potentially using like Dogecoin or Bitcoin or something, or XRP as a payment like outlet or something.
Sure.
So a lot of these institutions, a lot of these companies, we're not just gonna die. I wouldn't say. It's just right now there's a lot of uncertainty, as there has seemed to be a lot of uncertainty in the last few months, and it's continuing. So we need bulls to show up. We need some, mass adoption to happen, or we need some more new money to flood into the market. And Matt was just saying it's not easy to get money in or get money out. There's very limited, exchanges that allow you to do that. And so hopefully we'll get some exchanges to give us the opportunity to bring money in rapidly and to take money out rapidly as well.
Yeah. And then I think there's an argument to be made that we are simply in a healthy correction cycle as well. Like if you look at we had parabolic growth for about a month and a half, from the middle of November up until the end of December. Bitcoin ran from 10K up to 20K in just 4 or 5 weeks. So it looks like you got the weekly chart open there. It looks like 5 straight weeks of crazy green.
I wanted to talk about going back all the way to the spawn of Bitcoin, even on Bitstamp. And this goes back to 2011 is the start of this chart. And I just want to go over the market cycles, because you can see this same cycle has played out. This is now the third time. And this is going into 2013. So 2013 was when crypto really started to gain some hype. This is when Kurt heard about crypto and got in. And I know there was a lot of other people in the community that got involved in 2013. And that's because we went through the same exact cycle we went through in 2017. We had this huge run-up leading into 2013. We went through some consolidation and had another massive run-up. This was all 2013. Massive run, some consolidation, and I messed up the chart.
Welcome to live podcasting.
Sorry, I'm going to fix it. Bitstamp. All right. Ain't going to stop me.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay, 2013. End of 2013 had the massive run. End of 2017, we had a massive run. But what happened in 2014? Well, the Mt. Gox thing happened, but this is the same type of market cycle. If I could say where we were on the chart back here, this is 2014, we're somewhere in this box where we had the run up to 20K. It tried to do this run up again and failed, set the higher low, and then just went down, 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 down. Bear market. Bear market lasted from 2014 until halfway through 2015. So take that into consideration. Into September 2015 is when the market started to turn around and slowly regain the run it had in 2013. Slow, steady uptrend. This is what we need in Bitcoin. We don't want that just parabolic type growth. We need this slow, steady uptrend. And remember, these are weekly candles. One candle is 1 week. So this is over several weeks' time. All through 2016, uptrend. Slow, steady uptrend. I actually got involved in crypto in 2016 is when I actually started really getting serious with trading and learning about Bitcoin. But that was a really good time to get in. And then 2017, we saw a couple parabolic type runs where we had it in May, where it went from 1,000 to 3,000. We saw the run from 3,000 to 5,000. And then we saw the run from 5,000 or 10,000 to 20,000. or 5,000 to 20,000. It really didn't even stop at 10K. Just absolutely massive run. So where are we right now on the chart? Well, now we're coming to that long consolidation phase. And I'm not saying we're necessarily going to have 18 months of bear market, but that was the market cycle previously in 2014 and 2015, was this 18-month long bear market before it finally turned around.
You know, and I should be clear too, you know, these consolidation periods, while they are quite a bit less exciting, you shouldn't expect to, you know, make 10,000% returns in weeks like we saw at the end of 2013 or the end of 2017. However, if you do some shorter term swing trades or a little bit of day trading, there is a ton of money to make. Bitcoin, even during this consolidation period, is doing 2, sometimes 300% swings inside of 7 to 10 day periods. So there's plenty of movement to play as a day trader. And I know it's not the most fun way to play the chart. It's fun to just go along and then, you know, check every 3 days and see that you have doubled your money yet again. But you know what they say, calm waters do not make strong sailors, or something like that. I don't know. Well, the analogy phrases are usually my thing, but I'm not a sailor, so.
And that's the thing is learning to change up the strategy, which is what a lot of us have done. I've had to do it myself, is try to figure out, okay, if this is the reality of what we're facing, a potential bear market that we've been in for the last few months, I need to work on my short game and figure out how to make money even this way. And so a lot of people in our community have been changing their strategy in order to do that, in order to short. To learn how to short, to learn how to become successful at it, and continue to look for upside movement, play these bounces, but also use this as a time to pick up long-term stuff a little bit cheaper as well. Some of the people, we have goals for like a masternode, for instance, to be able to run a masternode in the future. Well, here in the next few months, it could be potentially, you could pick up 1,000 of whatever coin you would like to start a masternode a lot cheaper. So adjusting your strategy in this market is something that you should consider moving forward for sure.
Right. That's what we wanted to cover in this webinar, was 3 strategies to surviving a bear market, because you only got a few options, and not all the options make you money.
Yeah.
You could learn to short and adapt. There's a way you could sit in fiat, entirely fiat on the exchange, and trade the volatility. You don't necessarily have to just hold and bleed out. You could be on the exchange and you could trade short-term volatility, play these bounces, learn to short. Those are ways to make money in this type of market. You don't just have to hold your crypto all the way down and wait for this market cycle to end. There's ways, you could just get out and always jump back in. Just because you get out doesn't mean you think the technology is going to fail. You're just going to get in at a cheaper price. And that might not be a bad strategy, instead of just watching your account bleed out.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to the fundamental rule of trading. People ask, how do you make money trading? Well, the rule is you buy low and you sell high. If you want to color code it, you can say buy red candles, sell green candles. And that's, it really doesn't matter what the market cycle is. You're going to have green candles and you're going to have red candles. And if you make that rule for yourself, especially if you have a couple red candles in a row, or 2, 3, 4, shoot, in Neo, what do we got now? We got like 9 red candles in a row on Neo. Like that's when you start buying the red candles. And then when they start turning into green candles, you start selling them. And you don't sell them all in one spot. You start selling bounces. You just pick a systematic approach and start to make it happen. And that works in bull markets and bear markets. It's the same principle. Yeah. And like I said, there's money to be made. I've made money every week of the bear market that I've had internet. I had a little bit of trouble in Spain. We all did, and but since we've been back, we've done just fine. We got let's see here. Actually, there's a really good question here from Suhaib Burbab. He says the NASDAQ monthly chart looks really overextended, and I agree. He says, what do you think a potential crash will do for the crypto world? I read that companies have been buying their own stocks for a while. What do you guys think?
What's the NASDAQ QQQ?
I'm actually not sure. I'm not a stock trader, so I don't check my stock stuff really almost ever.
Nasdaq. Yeah, I mean that you could say, but I think it's different, in the sense that the stock market's been around for how long compared to Bitcoin? Bitcoin
Right.
is a different animal. So yeah, you could say, well, this chart's super overextended, but as a general rule of thumb, the stock market goes up over time, and it's been around for way longer than Bitcoin has, probably 10 times longer or more.
Right. Yep. Well, man, it does look really overextended, though. Overextended
you
and
could
low
say
volume.
that, but theoretically, even if it does have a dump off, it's always proven to go back up over
Right.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin also has, but to a lesser degree, because it hasn't been around as long. But yes, Bitcoin has also. I mean, you could compare Bitcoin. Let's pull up the monthly chart, and yeah, it's gone up over time too. And you could say this chart's way overextended as well, which it is, but
Right.
it's correcting just like it did here. But when you zoom out on the chart, this whole correction looks like nothing. And I think maybe in 5-10 years, this whole correction will probably look like nothing too.
Yeah.
Probably.
But right now, it feels like the end of the world, much like it did back in 2013 when they went from 1,100 down to the $200 range before it pulled back up. And interesting enough, this is an 85% or 80% difference from top to bottom. It had an 80% correction. So if we were to have another 80% correction top to bottom, that would set us right at about 3K, which is going to act as support because it was resistance on the upside. So that's why people have asked, how low do you think Bitcoin will go? Well, this sell-off went to 6K, but that might not be the first sell-off. This might just be a bounce, and we have another huge sell-off. And I think 3K is definitely possible, but that doesn't mean I want it to happen. I don't want it to go to 3K, but I'm looking at past resistance points on the chart to give me that indication that it could go down to 3K. It could go down to 5K. There's support at 5K. There's support at 3K. If it goes lower than that, well, I'd say that's pretty scary. But it could.
Yeah, it could.
We don't know, and or Bitcoin could get overthrown. I mean, that's a possibility too. Kurt's an advocate of Bitcoin Cash. We know there's a lot of people that think Ethereum is going to pass Bitcoin and do the little swap, and the swap could mean Bitcoin no longer controls the whole market, and that Ethereum could or Bitcoin Cash could. That's totally a possibility as well.
Well, and it all comes down to utility. Like one of the things that I talk about, especially like one of the things that we're talking about today is just being a long-term investor. And if you're going to be a long-term investor to survive a long-term bear market, well, then it requires doing a lot more fundamental research than technical analysis. I was saying before, buying red candles and selling green candles, that was a very a very rudimentary thing. Like that obviously would have to go along with other technical analysis, but if you're going to be a long-term investor, if you intend to survive these kinds of markets by simply buying dips and holding for a very long time, then you need to really, really get down on your fundamentals. You have to dig in. You have to see like what does a specific coin do better than other specific coins? Like what makes this coin the best contender in a given sector? And Matt always uses this term sectors. And it's a really great term. It's not something that I hear other people saying in the space. But like Ethereum is a smart contract platform, but there are other smart contract platforms. So you have to look long term. Who has the single best roadmap available today? Who is going to do the most things the most efficiently in the most areas? And that should be where you put your long term money. Same thing with in the cryptocurrency space. Like Ethereum is a smart contract platform. Well, Bitcoin, for example, is or at least it used to be, a peer-to-peer digital cash. Now they're kind of trying to create a new sector for themselves, being this digital long-term store of value, digital gold kind of thing. This is partially why I'm a Bitcoin Cash supporter. I think that doesn't make, I don't think it makes functional sense. I don't think the world needs digital gold, but that's my, my opinion there. But I believe that the thing that works the best as a means of exchange, and when I say the best, I mean the cheapest and the fastest transactions, that thing is fundamentally the most likely to win. Now, whatever coin that is the coin that it should win. In my opinion, that looks like Bitcoin Cash. As far as I'm aware, the longest, healthiest roadmap to scale is on the Bitcoin Cash chain, which is why I keep a very close eye on everything happening in the space. They have the most people that are making big strides in the actual economy. They're adopting payment processors. They're adopting all the infrastructure that Bitcoin has abandoned. There's huge developer work going on in the Bitcoin Cash ecosphere. So, I look at it as a really good long-term play. It's a little bit scary because we don't know what direction Bitcoin will go. Bitcoin will always kind of have that magnetism of being the first and everything else, but they have gone in a very different direction. They're trying to be a very different animal, and I think the path that they're going on kind of puts them in a little bit of a weird spot. So, that's up to you to do fundamental analysis. That's, we're here to talk about. We talk about, obviously, technical analysis all the time, but for anybody that's just like, man, I'm getting killed trying to be a trader, well, we're in the middle of a dip right now. So if you want to just be an investor, maybe try to onboard some fiat, start buying these dips. This is a pretty big dip on a lot of charts. So make some buys, shove them away, put them on paper wallets or on your Ledger Nano or whatever. Leave it under your bed for a year. Check the prices in a year, see how you're doing. And again, not investment advice. We're not registered investment advisors, but do your own research and don't spend any money that you can't afford to lose, because any one of these projects could go up in smoke also. So
yeah, and that's another thing here. I mean, in the off season, with any, like, take sports for example. In the off season, you train. You don't want to be practicing when you're playing in the championship game. So here in the off season, so to speak, while we're kind of in this bear market, while we're having this downtrend, I've been encouraging people to learn how to trade, like paper trade. There's zero risk in it, and you can, get resources, find resources. We have resources within our community on our website, cryptotraderspro.com, and you can learn how to use TA, learn how to research and do your own fundamental analysis, and do more than make educated guesses. You're making great investments through the education that you learn, and also learning how to trade with paper without any risk is also a great way to not get wrecked in a market that's on a downtrend, especially if you don't have the opportunity to short, if you're not able to get on Bitfinex or BitMEX or any of these other exchanges that allow margin trading, and you're stuck on somewhere like Bittrex or Binance that doesn't have margin trading, then using this opportunity as a time to paper trade and learn to play bounces will help you out in the future. So when the market does come back and go on another bull run, you have the skills to take advantage of the market at that time. So there's a lot of strategies right now. I think maybe some people currently in the market are a little frustrated because we know a lot of people, not just in our community, but in crypto as a whole, got in November, December. Right after Thanksgiving was this huge surge in the market where it was like Coinbase had 100,000 new users that signed up with Coinbase accounts. I think it was like in a week. So you had 100,000 people that were getting into crypto all at once. I mean, this huge giant boom, new influx of money came in, and the market just boomed. And so a lot of the people that got in there are really, really hurting, really either have already panic sold or just hanging on for dear life and waiting for it to turn around. And some of them aren't interested in crypto anymore. And so, developing your strategy now and kind of reevaluating what you're thinking about doing, whether it's short-term trading or just holding for the long run and sitting out trading for a while, or maybe even taking an exit for a bit and sitting on the sidelines. Look for some of these good projects that have potential for the future. Kurt always talks about utility, so look for something that has utility. There's a lot of great projects. I don't think anything as far as the fundamentals of crypto have changed. Like the attraction of companies to utilize things like XRP or Bitcoin Cash or even some of these other unique projects like Enigma, the utility of these cryptos hasn't changed. The value has fluctuated because of the demand or because of the market cycle. And so the fundamental aspects, the utility of these projects isn't going away. It's just their valuation currently. And so if you believe in a project, the valuation of it right now shouldn't change your belief in it long term just because the price is lower. So, a couple of different strategies we're talking about, and maybe just time to reevaluate what you want to do in this market, what your long-term goals are, and mitigate short-term risks for sure.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I think we saw a lot of in late 2017 is these projects that are just starting, they're in their infancy, are the ones they're taking off and they're just going parabolic. But what is the reason behind them taking off? There is none. That they're still very, very early. And crypto, we're always talking about think bigger picture. The bigger picture is long term. And longer term, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, well, that's when we're going to see these projects actually be used for helping businesses solve problems. Right now, there's not a lot of that going on. It's a lot of speculation. So we're not there yet. And when we talk about hold, it's not hold just random altcoins. You got to find ones that are actually going to be worth something in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Got Arturo asking, what are the best 5 coins to hold for long term? Does anybody want to
I would say
take a bite on that one?
It depends who you ask. I mean, everyone's got their own niche, so to speak, that they like to invest in.
I would just say I would figure it out yourself. What do you think is going to be useful in the next few years? What do you think solving the most issues? What we need for mass adoption is some sort of payment or currency. So one of your picks might want to be, or a couple of your picks might want to be one of these payment or currency coins. And you go down the sector list. Privacy. Kurt always talks about privacy and how Monero is one of the few coins that actually has utility behind it because anonymous transactions are always going to be big. So picking up a privacy coin and holding it long term would probably be a smart bet too. So just go down the list and go sector to sector and figure out what you think is going to be worth something in a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's always, you can look at, as far as sectors go, you can look at other smart contract platforms. A lot of people really, really like the smart contract platforms because they have such a diverse application in the market. It's like buying a mutual fund rather than buying a single stock because, Ethereum, for example, can do everything from run a small government to running a small business to, issuing payroll to, everything else. It can be like this giant chain of custody system. But then you look at the market there, like Ethereum has a lot of good competitors. Like you can start at a place like Ethereum Classic, but you can go any direction. Actually, Ripple is, a great option there. A lot of people have political reasons and philosophical reasons they don't like Ripple, but Ripple is actually a highly functional blockchain. It's one of the coins that has the absolute most utility. It's one of the only ones that's doing actual business in the actual economy today. So, putting your politics aside, you can look at Ripple and say, hey, like there's stuff actually moving forward there. Or you've got Stellar or Cardano or EOS, even IOTA, in my opinion, is a super long shot, but it's doing the same thing. There's Tron at 14 right now. They allege to be one of these platforms that's going to do a bunch of things in the economy. So, you have to really look at what those things are. Do your research. Like it's really hard to differentiate the junk from the good coins because one of the things that you can do out there is hire an ad agency, create a bunch of hype, make a really great logo, get on Twitter, start talking on Bitcoin Talk about how you got a partnership coming up with Alibaba, so everyone should buy your coin, and you can make $1 billion that way. So you got to be really careful in that regard too. So it's one of those things that's it's actually pretty personal. It kind of depends why you're here. Like the reason that I'm a big fan of Bitcoin Cash and Monero are my 2 biggest long-term picks are privacy. Like Matt said, privacy is key. Monero, in my opinion, is the most private coin, and therefore has the most utility in that space. It also has the largest use base in the economy. It's actually being used as currency. It's not so speculative like Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin and stuff are today. Like, they're good ideas, but they're not working right now. But Monero is doing what it says it's going to do, and it's doing it right now. So it's proven that it has that utility there. And then Bitcoin Cash is a little bit longer term. It's a little bit speculative, but I look at it and say, well, that coin has the most ability to do the most transactions with the least upward resistance. So if somebody were to start to build, they can start with the basic Bitcoin framework, and they can apply it to Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin Cash should be able to run more transactions per second than anybody else. But that's my research that went into it. I don't want people to say, hey, Kurt said Monero and Bitcoin Cash, and that's what I'm going to buy. I want you people to have a discussion with me. We have these discussions all the time in the Facebook group. We have lively conversations. We talk about Verge and whether or not that's the greatest thing in the universe. And in my opinion, the answer is no, it's not the greatest coin in the universe. But the conversation is what's healthy. I want you to explain to me why it's intrinsically better than something else. And that's where we all value. If we can learn from each other, then we all get better together. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, Tron was a good. I actually talked about this one. Andy did, and this chart is not. It's not in a bad spot right now. This is a descending triangle pattern, and these generally do break down, but there is a chance it could break upwards. And if it does break upwards, well, the rewards are well worth the risk, in my opinion, at these levels, because we see that it's been holding this area, this 400 Satoshi area. It's been holding this area for the past couple months, and every time it's tested it, the price has gone up. Well, right now it's testing it. Maybe it does go up, but I don't know. I do see it probably breaking down. But the risk reward is what I'd be looking at for the trade.
But one good thing with Tron is that I've made a video about it. If you guys, a news video on our YouTube channel, if you guys want to check that out, Crypto Traders Pro on YouTube. Tron has a coin burn coming up. I think it's at the end of the month. So I believe they're going from 100 billion Tron tokens, if I'm not mistaken. I think they have 65 billion currently in circulation. So they're planning to burn some of these. I'm not sure of an exact number, but if they do that, that should cause the valuation to go up based off of that hype alone. So that's something to look out for. If the TA matches the FA, which it does, we're bottoming out here on the chart, then that could be the sort of news that Tron needs to get a little bump. So there it is, the 31st of March coin burn. So
that's big news. That's really good news, because that's gonna reduce the supply, and that's what Tron really needs lower, because it's hard to move these coins with a ridiculously high supply. This has 100 billion supply. Well, Tron is going to take a lot to be worth $1 one day at 100 billion supply.
Right.
With that coin burn, depends on how many they burn. If they're cutting 30% of what's currently circulating or the total supply, that could be that could cause the valuation to go up as well. So
if I was to jump in Tron right now, or if I was to look to get in Tron right now, what I would do is set orders somewhere in here, because we've seen some wicks, and this is where I like to try and get filled on these volatility wicks. It's going down and looks like it's triggering people's stop losses, because if we look right here, every time it's tested this area, it's held. It hasn't really closed below this area. So people have stop losses right under here, and that's what these wicks are doing. They're going under, triggering their stop loss, and ripping it back up. So the smart thing to do on a play like Tron is to set your orders somewhere in the mid 300s, and maybe you get filled. You don't need to sit there and babysit it. If you don't need to get filled right away. Try and catch a wick and see if the price rips back up. And maybe it does go on a run and go up to this previous resistance for a 60% win.
So, there still are opportunities like this in the market. we've seen quite a bit of down motion with Bitcoin, and you've got Tron here that's not completely just breaking down. So there still are some of these lower risk plays that are out there. So something to keep in mind as well if you're still looking to trade, in current market conditions.
Well, you got to see what are you here for? Are you looking to gain USD value, or ultimately would you like to own more Bitcoin? If you would like to own more Bitcoin, then you could trade these altcoins against Bitcoin and try and increase your Bitcoin value of your portfolio. I know a lot of people don't like focusing on that. Everyone's focused on the USD value, but if you believe Bitcoin is ultimately going to go up in price, then you should want to get more Bitcoin.
Yeah. So we had somebody ask, I'll cover some of these questions, would be maybe good. One that's pretty common for people in crypto space. What's to stop big banks and institutions from starting their own cryptos? We've heard rumors of Starbucks potentially using a cryptocurrency. Even Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook this year has talked about really starting to look into decentralized or blockchain technology. So I don't know, Kirk, what are your thoughts on that? What's to stop a bank or another institution or a large company like Amazon? Why would they want to adopt what's already in place? Why wouldn't they start their own and just kind of eliminate the value that's already currently in the market?
Well, I think the biggest and best use case for creating your own coin that works only in your ecosystem is a massive company that everyone loves, Chuck E. Cheese. And what you're doing when you create your own coin is, does a Chuck E. Cheese token have value outside of Chuck E. Cheese? Like it's a novel idea, but it's never actually worked in the real economy. Now, it's more likely to work for someone like Starbucks because of, there's a Starbucks every 50 feet in major urban areas. But I think it's a pigeonholing that I don't think would have big value. And then there's an economic principle called bimetallism. Bimetallism is this concept that you have tons and tons of people minting their own coins, but what always ends up happening in these places where there's no central governing force is that all the smaller coins, so a coin that you mint out of bronze or brass or lead or tin or whatever, they always get traded up into the best coin that's available in the market. So sometimes that's silver, sometimes gold, sometimes platinum. And you look at it in the market, and that's why we continue to see gold being that thing that people desire primarily. And it's because gold has the most utility, like it has actual market utility itself. Like gold can be turned into jewelry, it can be used in electronics, it can be used for medical purposes. So gold always kind of wins that battle in the long term. Now, that's not to say that the Starbucks coin would not have a splash. It would probably make a big splash. There'd be some furor over it. Wow, like what a cool thing, like cryptocurrency, like. But then what's really the point? Like I already have a Starbucks app on my phone. Like I load it with cash and I buy my Americanos in the morning and whatever I'm going to do. So, it's a cool idea. What I like about it is that it would show people, that mainstream cryptocurrency can be a thing, but it's so limiting. Like you're literally buying the Chuck E. Cheese token of Starbucks in order to go to Starbucks, or the Chuck E. Cheese token of Walmart to shop at Walmart. And, it's an idea that comes around, every few years. There's some big company that tries to do the same thing. We'll give you Walmart bucks, or if you go to Disneyland, you can buy Mickey dollars and spend your Mickey dollars all over the park, but they're worthless outside of the park. So It's kind of I don't know. It's a goofy concept. And then the other problem is the beauty of the blockchain is it's the decentralization. It's the fact that you can't take the network down because it's spread out. And that would be different on Starbucks. So Starbucks could use blockchain, but they really don't have a reason to. Like I said, their app already exists. I can just load $25 on at a time and, earn my little Starbucks stars when I buy my stuff. So I think it's a weird endeavor. It'd be the same thing with banks. Like the banks could collude and make some kind of a Fed coin and whatever. But like we just saw in Venezuela, Venezuela was like, hey, the petro, we're gonna back this thing with oil. It's gonna be commodity backed, so it's gonna be pseudo stable or whatever. They did a pre-sale. Nobody bought the damn thing because nobody wants it. Nobody needs some Venezuelan petro coin because they're already using Dash or Monero or whatever in the underground Venezuelan economy. Like the above ground Venezuelan economy sucks. So there's no reason to buy their stupid coin. The only other application is kind of the application that you won't see. Like Starbucks could have a smart contract platform that kind of facilitates their chain of custody of buying coffee beans and how all that works, and this provable source to cup kind of tracking. But that's not really cryptocurrency. That's utilizing blockchain for another range of utility. And I think we're going to see a lot. I think in a decade, essentially no supply chain management will be anything but like blockchain managed. It'll be smart contract managed. But I don't know. Just the whole thing is it's not as unknown as people seem to think it is. Like there's been a lot of experimenting, and we're talking about Mickey Mouse dollars and Chuck E. Cheese coins, unfortunately.
Good answer. Yeah, I think that would help people not be so afraid of getting involved, in crypto. I have a feeling this market's going to have a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt FUD until there's some stabilization in or adoption in the use cases of cryptocurrency. Still full of a lot of great ideas, still full of potential, but once we start seeing cryptocurrency is actually being used, like people are routinely using Bitcoin Cash and other things, then there's always going to be this uncertainty or this fear that it's all just going to get wiped out. And so I personally think we're beyond that point. I think we've had enough, gained a lot of popularity in crypto as a whole to be past the point of complete failure. But, time will tell. This market right now, the current conditions are shaking out a lot of the people that were just here to get rich quick. And, it's time to put a game plan together, and still lots of opportunity to make a ton of money here. Just got to figure out how you want to do that for sure.
Yep.
So, got any other questions?
If I was just starting in November or December and I got involved, I would take a step back and not even focus on the markets really, because as soon as this dies down and the mainstream media isn't talking about crypto and it's not really getting as much attention, that's when you want to start jumping back in.
Yeah.
That's when the tables are going to turn. As soon as all this FUD and all this BS gets out of the news and people stop talking about Bitcoin, and that's when you're going to want to jump on the train and jump on the boat, because it's going to start taking off and we're going to climb back up again and have a whole nother market cycle. But until then, and we don't know how long this is going to last. I can't promise. Everyone's always asking, when are the bulls going to come back? When's the market's going to turn around? When are we going to go back up? We don't know. Nobody knows. If we look at the history, it lasted 18 months before we did turn around. So my best guess would be it could last up to 18 months. I sure hope it doesn't. It's not me being bearish, but in saying I want it to go down, because I'm definitely in this game for the long haul, but that's the reality of it. And we need to accept all possibilities and be open-minded to the possibilities of what could happen in this market.
When I think of the positive thing about seeing another leg down, even 5 or 6K, as unfortunate as it would be for those that have invested, over 10,000, is that seems a lot more feasible or reachable for some of the middle class people in America or other countries, is to pick up Bitcoin for 5 or 6,000, whereas 12,000 was way out of reach. So it's on the short end of the scale. It sucks for people that have bought so high, but it might be a great opportunity for those of you that have been speculative about crypto to get in when the prices are that low. You see the potential to make money in crypto. You see the potential valuation of it. And people that are new to the space here the rest of the year, even next year, if they're wise investors, they realize that the best time to buy would be on some of these support levels, on when the hype fades away, like Warren Buffett, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Well, when people are afraid and the market's bottoming out and Bitcoin's dead. I think Bitcoin's supposedly been dead 150 times or something. Everyone has gave up on it, a lot. So, if you got
someone's mic is messing up bad.
Yeah.
Andy, I think it's you.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Go ahead.
It's popping and whistling, like Kylo Ren arguing with Darth Vader in the background somewhere. We got a handful of people asking, how do you short the market? How do we know that we're in an extended bear market, that kind of thing? And the fact of the matter is that we don't. What I break it down to is, I like to look at the .com bubble. People always talk about how, pets.com disappeared, even though they had, a great name and great marketing and all this stuff. The problem is they weren't doing anything better than anybody else. Pets.com was not providing more value than Amazon.com, which is why Amazon.com long-term won out the long game. Pets.com pigeonholed themselves. And they pigeonholed themselves in a way that made it that, it's cheaper for me to just use Amazon, and I can buy everything I want on Amazon. So Amazon won by having the most utility in the market. And until we see a large uptick in the real world utility, I think we're going to see a maybe not a bear market, but probably a largely sideways market until we start to get news about bigger adoption, or until until people just start to use it as currency. One of the things that we've been talking about in the Facebook group, my daily discussion that I posted yesterday, and some of the comments I've been making over the last few days, is you got to start telling people about cryptocurrency. Like, how easy is it to be standing in line at the grocery store, and when you get to the cashier, just ask, say, hey, do you accept Bitcoin or Litecoin or Monero or Dash or whatever the heck you want to, be pushing on people. And when they look at you and say, what the hell is Dash? You can have that conversation and say, oh, it's cryptocurrency. It's like Bitcoin, but it does XYZ a little bit better. Like, I have a lot of it. I'd really like to be spending it here. It's being used at all these different places, so you can start to kind of create your own buzz about it. And if you go shopping, you can be at a retail store, you can be at the grocery store, you can be at a convenience store, go buy a Snicker bar on the way to the gym, and and just have that conversation briefly. It doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to go into how the central banks are out to get us all or any of that. You can just say, hey, do you accept Bitcoin? And if the answer is no, say, oh, really? Why not? This seemed like the kind of place that might have accepted Bitcoin. So maybe you should look into it. Thanks. Bye. And, you start to make people wonder, like, why am I not accepting Bitcoin here? And that's how you start to bring in the actual back and forth, the value of cryptocurrency, like the payment systems are as a means of exchange. If we're not going to be using them as a means of exchange, then they really don't have a lot of value. Like, Bitcoin really might not be worth $20,000 a Bitcoin, especially if it was worth $10,000 per Bitcoin 5 weeks earlier. And, you have to ask yourself, did Bitcoin double in its market utility in those 5 weeks? Did Bitcoin go from having a certain amount of usefulness in the economy, and did that usefulness double? If the answer is no, then you need to say that, well, fundamentally, Bitcoin is then overvalued, and it won't catch up to that value until we make it catch up to that value. And luckily, we have the ability to do that. That's something that I do all the time. If I ever get a personal trainer, or if I get physical therapy, or if I have to do anything like that, somebody that's going to provide a service, like they don't even have any cost in a product or anything, I offer, hey, would you accept Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin for this, for this rather than dollars? And I get people that say yes. They're like, oh yeah, I heard of that. I'll help them set up a wallet, set up an account at, maybe Coinbase or somewhere, and we start to make that happen. So until that starts to happen, until the utility has a notable uptick, then a bear market or a sideways market is what actually makes sense. So, not to depress anybody, because most people just want to go long and buy some Bitcoin and, retire next month. That's not how the game works. I've been here since 2013. I've witnessed a couple of really big crashes. And the people that I know who are, actually driving the Lambos today, the people that are like living that dream that everybody is talking about, are the people that continued to buy through that bear market. 2014 was a junky year. 2015 was a junky year. 2016, we started to see a little bit of the uptick. The people that were buying in that period are the people that, were buying mansions in cash in 2017.
That was me.
There you go. And so that's the thing. Like, you really got to earn it. Like, the world is not just gonna make you rich because you were smart enough to get a Coinbase account and make a couple of trades. Like, you gotta put in the work. And during this time, when other people aren't looking, when the rest of the world's going back to football season and everything else, you can keep your eyes on the charts and keep buying those dips. You don't have to have leveraged or margin short trading to make a ton of profit, but you do have to start to accumulate the thing that you believe will have the longest utility. And then in 3 to 5 years, people will come back to it again and be like, oh man, I got out of Bitcoin in 2018 when the market crashed. I thought it was going to hell. And you can say, yeah, I disciplined myself and I just kept buying. I just bought a little bit with every paycheck, and now I'm retired and here's my butler. It just takes discipline. So
I think that's a really smart strategy for the more passive investor.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody in here is not a trader, active trader, day trader, like some of us here, but that's the smartest way to go about it. Those of you that have a stable job, you have a family, you're not looking to make this a career. The smartest thing you could do, a lot of people would say, set some money aside for the savings account, set some money aside for your IRA, set some money aside for your 401k. Look as crypto as another investment vehicle, one that can potentially move 10 times faster than traditional methods.
Mm-hmm.
So I would use it like that, and that's kind of what I did do when I was working. This was all through in 2016 and early 2017. I had that mentality. Now, not so much, because when I was getting in and putting my money in, it was 700, 1,000, 1,200, 2,000. It wasn't that much, and I was able to get more out of it. But now, well, unless we get back down to those prices, and you don't know when the bottom's going to be, scatter some buys. If you're looking to place orders, maybe put one at 7,000, put some at 6,000, 5,000, 4,000, because you don't know when the bottom is going to be. It's very smart to just slowly scale your buys. Slowly scale into the market. Don't just put a $10,000 order at 8,000 and be done, because what if it goes to 3,000? Well, you could have got almost 3 Bitcoin out of that if you would have just scaled your buys rather than you just get 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's the smartest way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, one of the things I'd really like us to talk about, we should probably spend the next couple of minutes talking about what shorting the market actually looks like. Yeah. First, before we start, I'm going to let Matt talk about shorting because you've got more experience at it than any of us. But what you need to start, the basic tool that you need is a little bit of capital, and you need a margin account. You can only get a margin account at 4 exchanges that I'm aware of. It's Bitfinex, which is everyone's favorite exchange to hate, but I think it's a really great platform. Kraken, which has its struggles but has gotten a lot better lately. BitMEX, which allows 100 times leverage if you have brass balls and the nerves of steel. And then HitBTC. So those are your 4 options. They will allow you to borrow, basically just borrow funds in order to sell funds that you don't have and put in a promise to buy them back when the price goes lower. But I'm going to pass to Matt. Matt can explain what a short actually is and why it's not a middle finger to Bitcoin or some of the other things that people seem to think it is.
So starting with shorting, as Kurt said, there's only a few exchanges that you're able to do it on. You need the exchanges with margin. And our favorite is Bitfinex. Bitfinex is one of the highest volume exchanges, and there is certainly a lot of FUD surrounding it with all the Tether issues, Tether drama. But I think that is just a lot of noise. And in my honest opinion, I don't see anything that they're doing wrong. But I do wish they would come out and actually provide some proof to finally shut everybody up, even though they don't really have to. But it scares a lot of people off from Tether, and I think Tether is an important tool to use if you're looking to sort of escape the volatility of the market. So once you get on Bitfinex, or BitMEX is another one, that one's a little bit more extreme because you could do 100 times leverage. Wouldn't recommend to anybody. The highest Bitfinex goes is 3.3 times leverage. And that is more than enough. If you have a 10K account, they're going to give you $33,000 to play with. And for someone with $10,000, having that much money to play with can really get you in trouble if you're not careful. So you need to understand there is a lot of risk with margin trading. What you're doing is leveraging out your current holdings in order to buy more, or in order to play with borrowed funds. So there is a possibility. What they have is the liquidation. Liquidation, if the price drops too low, then they're going to automatically exit you out of that position in order to save themselves from, or save yourself from owing them too much money. But I've seen it hurt several people and just blow up your account in overnight, in the blink of an eye. So you really have to be careful and take that into consideration. But knowing the risks, the rewards are also much more lucrative. And when I was trading on Bitfinex during October, November, December, and those were the best times to trade in the markets. And I made more money in those few months than I had the entire previous year before that, because I was utilizing margin and leverage trading in a bull market, which is one of the smartest things or best things you could do to make a serious amount of profit. So the rewards and the risks are both extremes, but it's a way to also short. If you're able to margin trade, you can go long and short on the market. Going short on Bitcoin is essentially flipping the chart upside down. So instead of looking near support areas, which right here I see some support at 6K and 7K. So that's where I'd be looking to buy. But if I was looking to sell, I would be looking to sell or go short near previous resistance levels, which would be right here on the chart. We see there was resistance here at 12K. We see there was resistance here at 12K. So when we see it getting near 12K again, there's two things it could do. It could either have the breakout and run, or it could not break out, and that's what it did. It tested this as resistance and came right back down. So when we see it, I mean, this was a really good shorting opportunity, and I know there was a few members of Crypto Traders Pro, including Andy and Kurt and myself, maybe even Adam. We've all been shorting and been more short bias in the market. So when we see this sign of weakness right here, this red candle, it's testing this 12K area and it closes red. That is a momentum shift. That means it's a sign of a reversal. So this is the opportunity to short. And if we're going short, we need to establish our risk, just like we do when we buy and go long. So our risk would have been if it broke out past this area. I could go short at 11,500. If it broke out past 12,000, that's where I would make my stop loss. But if it goes down in price and Bitcoin starts dropping, I'm making money as Bitcoin's dropping if we're short at 11,500. And I know there has been several people that have been shorting Bitcoin, Ethereum. We've been talking about them all for the past few weeks, that these are all great shorting opportunities. And this hasn't just been in Crypto Traders Pro. We've been posting charts and our feedback and analysis here in this group as well, saying that we're short bias until we get over that 12K area, because I think that was the ultimate turning point. It rejected off that area. Now it's coming back down. I see us testing possibly the 6K area again. The bulls want it to stay above 6K, but if it goes to 6K or lower, well, the bears are clearly in control and could bring it lower. One thing you do have to watch out for, though, when shorting is chasing. Just like you chase the upside move, a lot of people, they weren't buying it right here. They were buying it up here. So they were chasing. Just like chasing the upside move, chasing the downside move would be trying to short it right now when it's already gone down for 6 days in a row. That'd be chasing on the downside. That's not what you want to do. I would not recommend shorting it right now. Even it might go to 6K or 7K. It might, but it's too risky. My risk right now would be all the way up to this 11,800 line, 12K line. That's too much of risk for me. $2,000-$3,000 risk is not worth it for a $2,000-$3,000 reward. That's not an appetizing entry for me. So what I would do if I was looking to go short right now, wait for that bounce, set that lower high, and watch us go lower. This would be your entry. Just like on the upside, you don't want to chase the breakout. You want to wait for the retest. You wait for the retest and go. What we're waiting for now is we want to see, is it going to go back up to 12K or is it going to set that lower high and continue to head lower? That would be our entry on the short side, and we would profit all the way down.
Yeah. So, and then just to, clarify, like what we're doing is like too short. What you are doing is rather than borrowing capital to make a buy, you are borrowing someone, like if you're shorting Bitcoin, you are borrowing someone else's Bitcoin, or you are borrowing the exchange's Bitcoin in order to sell it because you believe that you're selling a peak and that the price is going to come down, and you're making a promise to then buy back. So, when people talk about shorting the market is you're pushing the market down. Like, I don't want to push the market down. I would be very happy to watch the price of cryptocurrency go up forever. But I'm something of an early adopter. Like I'm not a Roger Ver. I wasn't buying a dollar Bitcoins, but it would retire me if the market went up forever. But when people talk about pushing the market down, you're not pushing it down. When it's overextended, I'm borrowing somebody else's Bitcoin because I want to sell there because I want to buy more. It's a promise to buy more at a later date. And it's a promise that I basically have to keep. The exchange is going to force me to keep that promise. So if it goes the wrong way, it's going to take my money and then I've been liquidated. But that's pushing the market the right direction. The other thing to consider is that bringing the price down, like at $20,000, people are panic buying Bitcoin because they think they've missed the boat. And bringing Bitcoin back down to $6,000 is an opportunity for those people to be buying Bitcoin. And that's a good thing. If you believe that Bitcoin is important and that it's going to change the world and that it's one of these things that, can eliminate, government oppression and bank supremacy and all these things that we talk about in fear, then it's a good thing for the price to come back down and make these healthy corrections and give your neighbor the opportunity, the people that you've been talking about it, the guy who works at 7-Eleven who you bought that Snicker bar from. You can come back and say, hey, Bitcoin's really cheap right now. You should start accepting it now because you'll get more Bitcoin for the Snicker bar, and then you can retire in a couple of years if you start accepting it. So, these down markets are not, a quote-unquote bad thing for the market. It sucks. Like, it sucks if you're one of the people that, mortgaged your home to buy a bunch of Bitcoin at $20,000, but that's
that was
why
stupid.
It's plainly stupid. It's a bad idea, and that's why we start every video we do talking about only trading with money you can afford to lose. Because if you go all in, like, first of all, I respect your machismo or whatever is required to do such a thing, but it's just simply not wise. And you need to be in charge of you, and that's the point. Bitcoin was an opportunity to be your own bank, and a bank is not going to make a decision like that. Well, unless they know they've got a senator in their pocket that'll bail them out. But
okay, I want to go back to shorting. So
sure.
People worried about us bringing the market down, but my money has no real effect on the market. me as a single individual, even this entire Facebook group of 45,000 people, we are a drop in the ocean. There's one whale that wipes our entire group out and makes us irrelevant in the big scheme of things. So we don't really matter. It's what the big money is doing. So we're just taking advantage and being on the same side as them. We want to be on the same side as the trend and what the big money's doing. Otherwise, you're going to be burned. So the people going long right now, the people that are fighting this trend are the ones that are going to get burned. Just the ones that are not playing these short-term bounces, but they're trying to go long up here thinking it's going to break 12K, and then it doesn't, and they didn't have a strategy in place to manage the risk. And then the bottom falls out, and it just starts going down really fast. You panic. So that's why it's important to have that strategy in place. But we're just taking advantage of what the market's giving us. And right now, the bears are in control, so we want to be on the same side of the trade as them.
Absolutely. We're talking about, some of these short trades. I'll short 1, 2, 3, if I'm feeling super aggressive, maybe 5 Bitcoin or something, but I don't like to expose myself like that anyways. Like I'm first of all, I don't need to make that much money. So it's, I don't need to like be going all in on a crap shoot, like that kind of thing. But, shorting 1 Bitcoin and then having it move by $2,000 in value is a good amount of money. It's enough to pay my mortgage and things like that, So those kind of shorts, like those don't even matter, especially like we look at that Mt. Gox trustee, when we're talking about how much Bitcoin he was selling on the market, like we're talking 10,000 Bitcoin sells in one purchase. So, we're talking about the kind of money here that like, all of Crypto Traders Pro, I bet all of our 45,000 people, if they were to try to short the market at the same time, it would cause a blip. Like you'd see that many, but it wouldn't be the kind of thing that knocks the market from 20K down to 15. There's not enough volume. So when there's people out there, especially some of these, the big mining groups or some of these early investors, you got, the Winklevoss twins have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, or Roger Ver, or you have, Bitmain. Bitmain's sitting there, they've been mining Bitcoin since 2012. They're sitting on a pile of Bitcoin like you would not believe. If they wanted to crush the market, they could. Me and Andy and Adam and Matt, like if we went all in and shorted everything we had, it'd be like a red hour. So it's
maybe a red minute.
Maybe a red 5-minute candle.
Right. It'd be a blip. Minute. It would be insignificant. It would not make it onto CNBC crypto or any of that. So shorting the market is we're doing what the chart tells us to do. The chart begs us to short it sometimes, and there's money to be made on the short side. But it's a promise to buy back. We're promising to buy Bitcoin back. So, people can bellyache about it all they want.
That's something you should also think about. And I've thought about it that there's a few people out there that could really move the markets themselves. And that's kind of scary. As much decentralization as this is, there's still a few people out there. As you said, the Winklevoss, the people that own these exchanges, it could crash the market. So if the price of Bitcoin goes to $100,000 and these guys they control the majority of Bitcoin, that's a little bit scary. That you're just a fish swimming in their ocean.
Exactly. Well, that's why you got to be ready. You got to be ready for that kind of thing. I got this Star Captain saying, "I'm afraid people will drop Bitcoin because of high fees and long transaction times. Maybe it will never go up again." That's it's a possibility with a lot of things. I can probably name you 30 coins that are redundant. They don't do anything better than each other. They've got junky brands and small development teams, and they're not doing anything special in the market. The difference with Bitcoin is it's multiple billions of dollars in total market cap, but you're absolutely right. Bitcoin is the slowest coin, and it's the most expensive coin to transact in. And I think there's a very real chance of a real replacement, especially long term. If Bitcoin can't figure out a way to get its act together and actually function in the economy, then it absolutely will get replaced. I don't know what that is. I have my bets, obviously. People know I'm a Bitcoin Cash supporter, but there could be something out there that comes in and just completely blows the technology out of the water. I don't think that will be the case. I'm a fan of the SHA-256 mining algorithm and everything else that goes along with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. But, this XRB Nano coin is a really interesting coin. Zero transactions. Every individual wallet creates its own blockchain that interacts with the overall Nano blockchain. It's a really cool piece of technology. If that gets developed well, that could be a thing that replaces everything. But I'm not saying that it will, so don't go and buy a bunch of XRB. But these things happen. We don't know. We're not in a spot to say here's a clear winner or here's a clear direction to go. But Bitcoin, I don't know. We could see another all-time high in Bitcoin this year, or people can start to say, hey, we actually want to adopt a cryptocurrency that can be used on Amazon.com. I don't know if Bitcoin is that coin. Allegedly, it could be with Lightning Network, but Lightning Network doesn't seem to be able to get out of somewhere between alpha and beta testing. So until that happens, until you can start to show that Lightning is as cool as Bitcoin Core says it's going to be, then I think we're looking at other coins. I think we're looking potentially at Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are two coins that want to compete with each other. And there's a number of other things at play there. We got a couple of people asking, like, what is the strongest support level on Bitcoin? If you had to bet, Matt, which is what everyone wants, they want the 80% sure thing.
Because that's what happened in the previous market cycle. We talked about this right in the beginning. In 2013, during that whole year, Bitcoin did the same type of run it did in 2017. 2014 came, and it started the year exactly how this chart looks right now. It had this all-time high in December. It went up to try and do it again. It couldn't get up there. It made a lower high, and then it just crashed. And then it just dumped. And now it's slowly going back down. It's getting walked back down. I'd say 3K is that area, because what we saw in 2014 was an 85% correction from the all-time high. 85% correction from $20,000 or from this all-time high is 3K. 3K also happens to be a support line right here. Earlier in 2017, we saw it reject off 3K, come back down, had the breakout, came back down, retested as support. That was the key thing that I was looking for. Previous resistance is now acting as support, and it carried up, and it hasn't tested that level since. So on the downside, I would say 5K is an area too. That's right here on the chart. We saw it test 5K here, come back down, breakout. It didn't really have the strong retest like we saw at 3K. So 5K is going to be support. 3K, I say, is the bottom. That's my bold prediction, although I certainly hope it doesn't come true, because that means I'm also down a significant amount of money, most likely. Because it's going to bring everything down with it. It's not just Bitcoin that's going to go to 3K. That means Litecoin is probably going to go down to, I don't know, maybe $100 or $50.
$50 probably. Yeah.
And like Ethereum is another one that had a huge run. I'd say Ethereum could come back down to 300 easy. Definitely possible. 150, 130 maybe down here being I don't know. But Bitcoin, I know if that thing comes down, everything else is coming with it.
Right. Yeah, we got Keith saying, but so many more people know about it now.
It doesn't matter.
Right. It doesn't matter at all. It matters for buyers, eventually. But like I've said before, if Bitcoin can't increase its utility significantly, if it can't make a big splash with hey, you can actually use Bitcoin in all these places and have it do all these things, then there really isn't a reason for it to go up. The reason Amazon stock goes up is because they launch, drone delivery service, or they launch a partnership with a new distribution system. Like they make a big positive change in their business model. That's what pushes Amazon's price up. Pushing Bitcoin's price up right now, or up or down, is pure speculation. Bitcoin has had the same promises on the table for a year and a half. It's had the same usage in the economy for the last year and a half. In fact, Bitcoin is pulling itself away from the fundamental processing and everything that they've spent 9 years building. So until they start to make the right move in the market, it doesn't matter that more people know.
It needs to be. It does. Yeah, that doesn't. What matters is these big businesses adopting the technology, and
right.
maybe Bitcoin isn't accepted, but say something I don't know, Ethereum or one of these security coins. They start getting integrated into these businesses and making things easier for them. That's going to improve the overall crypto market, is slow adoption. And that was all the hype in 2017, but we didn't see it. We didn't get that Amazon now accepts Litecoin title.
Yeah.
We didn't get that message in 2017 like everyone was wanting. So until we get that message, it was just pure hype that was driving the market up. It wasn't that really much behind it other than more coins are coming, more projects are launching. But these roadmaps are 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the future. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of time from these projects to develop what they actually want to do.
So here's a question. If we continue to go down, Bitcoin currently has, 42% of the market cap, right? Is there a potential for something to take over? There's been talks of the flippening for Ethereum taking over. What was the one for Litecoin that somebody was joking about? I think Charlie Lee.
Flappening.
The flappening, yeah.
Charlie Lee was joking about that. But, will Bitcoin lose dominance, or will it just completely drag the entire market down? Are people going to, try to find a safe haven in investing in Ethereum or something else if Bitcoin comes down? Or are we just for 100% certain it's going to everything just going to go down with it?
Yeah, you know what? I think fundamentally, it's a good question. It's a question that's come up forever. People have been asking me this since 2013. The answer is it doesn't matter. The world doesn't need Bitcoin. It's just like, you think of like a great world leader or something, and when they pass away or whatever, like we just watched like the end of the Barack Obama presidency in the United States, and there were people in the streets like terrified that the world was going to end, and Trump's going to ruin the world. And, we see this every cycle, like any political cycle or anything. Like you look at this and say, man, how are we going to survive without this thing that we're used to up at the helm? And the fact of the matter is we survive anyways. Sometimes it's a bumpier road than others. And but the world doesn't need Bitcoin. Bitcoin is great. Bitcoin was a amazing idea. It was probably one of the best ideas that's ever been had. But if it fails to fully launch, but inspires other things to do a lot bigger and better, then that's it. That's Bitcoin's legacy. I don't even think that would upset Satoshi Nakamoto. He'd look at it, and if some other coin took his idea and turned it into the thing that he envisioned Bitcoin to become, like there was a reason he didn't put his real name out there. He didn't want fame and glory. He wanted the concept of Bitcoin to be the thing that changed the world. And I think that's what matters. So it would be a rocky road if Bitcoin just continued to drop and drop. Like it would, people will start to look at that. What we would need to look at in that scenario is, well, what's holding firm and why is it holding firm? What is a coin that is being used in the economy? That's always got to be the question. That has to be the question that you're asking. It's like asking during the .com bubble, like, what are we going to do without pets.com? That's where I buy, buy my dog food for sprinkles. It's like, well, you'll buy it somewhere else. Like that's fine. Pets.com wasn't the only place you could buy dog food. So It sucks. Like Bitcoin means a lot of things to a lot of people, especially the early adopters. But it's just unfortunate. But the world doesn't need Bitcoin to win. Not if it's not going to do it, quote unquote, right. If they're going to, integrate with the Federal Reserve System and become an open ledger to monitor the economy for taxation purposes, then I don't want the BTC chain at all. And that's, it is what it is. Like, I want something that allows me to do business with anyone who I want to do business with. I don't want anybody to be able to stop it, and I don't want any of the tyrants in any levels of finance or government or anywhere to be able to see what I'm doing. That's what matters. The name doesn't matter. The brand doesn't matter. And as a speculator, I don't, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be watching the market anyway. Anyway, if you're watching this webinar, you're going to be watching the market anyway, right? So keep your eye out. Like if there's a coin that is doing a lot of things better and starting to pick up market cap and starting to be adopted by payment systems and retailers, well, maybe start to pick some of that coin up. Right now, like I think the dark horse coin in that space is Ripple. As much as I don't like Ripple and for what they stand for, Ripple's announcing partnerships every week. Every week they're saving some financial institution that had all kinds of liquidity problems. You got Western Union and MoneyGram and this little bank over in Singapore, this little bank over in Japan, and they're going to start launching the Ripple, the whatever they call it, RippleNet, using the XRP token. People don't want to talk about Ripple, and yeah, Bitcoin was supposed to replace MoneyGram and replace Western Union, but that's not the development path it took. And the reason is people didn't fight for Bitcoin to be that. Ripple did. So, that's, as an investor or as a trader, that's something that you can start to look at. Again, I'm not endorsing Ripple, and I'm not saying Bitcoin's definitely going to die. I'm just saying that these are possibilities. So we need to be ready for that. We need to be prepared. You need to have a portfolio that can withstand a hit to your philosophical point of view. If Bitcoin doesn't do what Bitcoin was supposed to do, then it's not really Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto is probably dead anyways, and what he would want is the most decentralized coin to provide the most frictionless payment system for people to give each other money. What coin is that? Pick that coin. I have my opinions, and you should definitely have yours from doing your own research, and then we can move on from there.
Yeah, another thing I see holding the market back is how hard we're not getting that influx of money coming in, and the exchanges, the banks, they're making it not the easiest process to do so. Mm-hmm. For people to get involved into crypto. We see Bittrex, they've closed registration. There's not many other exchanges that offer that gateway besides Coinbase. Right. And so as we see more exchanges pop up like Robinhood and the Circle app and Uphold, a few of these other gateways between the bank and crypto, that's going to give people an easier path to get involved.
Right.
So there's a ton of good news coming out as a whole. In 2018, that's only going to push it forward, even though the price doesn't necessarily reflect that. But it's all very good news that's propelling us through 2018.
Yep.
So I wouldn't sleep on this, or I wouldn't recommend this final thing. Exit. It's definitely a possibility. We see people complaining all the time, I'm just losing money. Well, people with that kind of attitude, I don't think necessarily belong in here anyway. They came in with the wrong attitude, like I'm going to invest in November, and by January I'm going to have $100,000. That was unrealistic expectations, and those people are the ones that got hurt the most. So exiting the market, you could, because we could be in for a rocky road for the months to come, but I wouldn't completely forget about crypto or just give up on it or ignore the technology, because there's real things happening here that are only going to push us forward.
Right.
So with that, we're about an hour and a half into this. We'll probably wrap it up. Do we got any pressing questions or any comments from you guys? Kurt and Matt, any last predictions?
I'm just reading the questions here.
Yeah, I'm browsing them myself.
Raul said, I hear you talking about how risky shorting is, but I don't really get the idea behind this. I find it quite safe to short something ridiculous like Tron when it was at its all-time high. Is it that obvious that when it's that obvious it's going to crash? Am I missing something? Yeah, you are, because exchanges like Bitfinex, they do have Tron on their platform, but not every coin they allow margin trading on. So you're only able to margin trade the coins that they allow, which are the top market cap coins. Something like Tron, it doesn't have the liquidity, so they don't offer margin trading. Otherwise, yes, I mean, this is obvious, just kind of pump and dump type chart.
Right. So, if I wanted to have a closing statement, like, be vigilant, learn how to trade. We're here to teach you how to trade. We want you to be a self-sufficient trader. We don't want you to be, begging us for signals, that kind of thing. We want you to look at a chart and see a direction. We want you to say, I know how to make money based on this chart. Like, that's our goal. That's what the goal of this group is. So what the goal is for CryptoTradersPro.com and everything we're doing. There's a lot of good stuff going on in the space. A bear market is a depressing time for a lot of people, but Coinbase just announced an index fund. There are big things going on in finance with cryptocurrency, and Coinbase is one of those big ones. And when Coinbase has good news, very often it leads to good pricing going forward. But we had another question here from Alex Gonzo Arango asking or saying, like, hey, why would I buy a Snicker bar if my Bitcoin could be worth more tomorrow? And I always say, like, if cryptocurrency is not used as a means of exchange, if it's not used as money, then it doesn't actually have value. It's not real. That is its value. Gold has value because we attribute it value as a tool in the economy, whether it's jewelry or as a coin or as an implement to build computers. But if it didn't have any of that utility, then it wouldn't have that value. And that's why the value of gold fluctuates as well. But it's not why the value of Bitcoin is fluctuating right now. It's fluctuating entirely on speculation. And until there is mass adoption where people can buy things every day with cryptocurrency, and until you can receive it as salary and pay your bills and all that stuff with your cryptocurrency, then it doesn't really have actual value in the economy. So, people want to criticize, like, even the people at Bitcoin Core talk about, Bitcoin's too valuable to buy coffee with, and it's like, well, shoot, man, what is it then? It's becoming like a weird, like, pseudo demigod thing. Don't offend Bitcoin by using it. And it's like, guys, come on, like, this is real life, and a means of exchange is the utility that we need for it to have value. Otherwise, I would say, like, I would predict a bear market to continue forever if Bitcoin never gets used as a means of exchange. So be aware of that. Like, start asking every cashier you talk to, if they accept Bitcoin. You got a little bit of Bitcoin in your bread wallet, like, it's $10. Just replace the damn thing. When people ask or act like this is crazy, like, if you had $10 to spend on coffee and you're gonna go buy 2 lattes at Starbucks for $10, okay, you can give them $10 US or $10 worth of whatever. You give them yen or whatever you were going to give them. And I would say that that's a waste of money, right? Because you could have used that $10 to buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. So if the only thing you're allowed to do is buy Bitcoin and hold it, then you're an idiot for buying anything. Don't buy shoes, don't buy clothes, don't buy food, don't go to the gym, don't turn the electricity on in your house, because all of your money should be going into Bitcoin, right? So it's ridiculous. Buy Bitcoin, use Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, or don't. But if you don't use Bitcoin as a means of exchange, like you're just, you know, you're sitting on a pile of numbers on a few thousand computers floating around on the internet, and that doesn't have value. So I'm serious. Ask cashiers when they will be accepting Bitcoin, because that's how you'd like to pay. Or pick your favorite coin. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. So those are my closing remarks. We can give it value. We have the power, people. But it really is up to us. If we don't do it, nobody will. Like, the big banks don't want it to happen. They want to control. They want to give you money that they print and that they control the value of, and you can thank them for it. They'll go, they'll protect us and whatever else. So be in charge of you.
I would say my closing statements here are: we want to be your guide through the market. We are doing this every single day, and we're here every single day to be that credible resource that you have to come to every day and figure out what's going on in the crypto market, whether that be news or our opinion, the charts, the community. We're here for that resource. So we like working with you guys and talking to you guys, because the reason I started this community is I didn't have anybody that I knew in real life that was into trading, was into crypto, was into any of this. So being able to connect with others and talk about ideas, what we think, and the market is pretty awesome that we've made this here. So
yeah,
yep, that's what I like to see.
And lastly, I would say as well, like, stay engaged in the community. We'd love to hear your comments, your questions on there. We do daily discussions every day in the Facebook group. We're very active in that group as well, and we're growing actively on YouTube also. Matt, if you want to pull up our YouTube channel, we're making videos there. We're doing coins of the week there. We also post them in the Facebook group, but if you missed them, you can head on over to the YouTube channel and check those out. I'm doing news videos a few times a week on various things, and we've also got interviews with the developers. If you missed those on the Facebook page, you can go back and check the ones out that we're doing on the YouTube channel. So we've got various playlists here. So go ahead and subscribe so you'll get a notification of the new videos that we have coming out. And like Matt's saying, we want to be a resource for you, not just in the bull market we just experienced, but also here in this challenging time, to be able to help you guys learn, to be able to be a resource, and as well as be a community. Life is better with community. You can go a lot farther with people than you can by yourself. And so take this time to do your due diligence on various cryptos, discover some of the ones that you like, and participate in our community as well. Ask questions, be involved, be active. Like Kurt's the crypto evangelist of our group. Be that crypto evangelist in your small community, your town. Tell people about crypto, but also be active and involved in our community as well. We'd love to hear from you guys. You can message us on the Crypto Traders news page, or drop us a comment on our daily discussion, or even here on our YouTube channel as well. So.
And one final word before we get off here is, please subscribe to our YouTube. Right now, we're having a lot of issues with Facebook. And Facebook, what they're doing is they're really trying to censor crypto. I'm not sure why, but this is very concerning to me that a lot of these social media platforms are throwing red flags on crypto as a whole. Because if we get censored and all these big communities get censored, then there's no way to really spread what crypto is, for people to learn about it, for people to find it. We can go on Steemit all we want, but the everyday person is not using Steemit. The everyday person is using Facebook, they're using YouTube, they're using Twitter, and all three platforms are having issues right now really censoring crypto. We have Twitter banning people, influencers in the Twitter community. There's Facebook they've been banning our ads, they've been shadowing our posts, and they've been banning people that have been talking about crypto a lot. In YouTube as well, they've been shutting down channels, regardless of whether they talk about ICOs or not. But all three of these major platforms are really making it hard for crypto to thrive, and we gotta really stand up here and make a scene, because we don't want this to happen. Otherwise, that's not good for crypto, and the market could really be affected. If there's nobody new coming in, there's no new money coming in, or it's just big players, then it's just a bunch of whales playing with each other's money. And nobody new is coming in. It's not getting used. Nobody's learning about it. So, something to consider moving forward.
And also, if you head on over to our website, cryptotraderspro.com, there'll be a pop-up that comes there. If you enter your email address in there for us to stay in contact with you in the future, you'll also get a free episode from our trading course. So you'll have access to exchanges, trading tools, and wallets. And it's a great episode for people to learn about the trading tools, the wallets, and the exchanges that we use in our community. And we don't spam people, but in the near future, we'll be able to connect with you guys through email and give you updates on what we've got going in the future as well.
Yep. So until then, everybody, be vigilant. Thanks for joining us. We love doing these webinars. We love all the feedback. It's been really awesome answering the questions. We get a lot of people that jump in and they talk consistently. So I want to thank the people that we see all the time. The members of the Crypto Traders Pro group that have joined our community, like they jump in, they watch, it's awesome. But we got a lot of new people. There's a lot of new names here that have been giving us comments and thanking us. I just want to say thank you. Thanks for joining. Please share the group. Let people know that we're here. That we're not begging you to invest in some stupid thing, and we're not pushing dumb products on you. We're trying to teach you how to be self-sufficient. We're trying to spread mass adoption. We want the world to be more free because of the work we're doing. So it really means a lot to have you guys here. So thank you, everyone. And I'm going to say see you on the moon, everybody. Let's see you next time. All right?
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.